It's 8:30, music is down, and the storm has broken, to quote the first line of a book I had one line. Welcome everybody to Fox and Raymond Publishing presents SF and Fantasy Rocks, which I think is definitely the highlight event of the entire Open Book Festival. If you have a look at the panel of authors.
What? The Paris Hilton talk has been cancelled?
Okay, so before we get started with the grilling of these three authors, I have some introductions to do and some thank yous to say. So let's start off by welcoming Mr. Raymond E. Feist. Just a little bit about Raymond. He is an American author, best-selling author. He has sold over 15 million copies, which is an enormous amount.
Actually, it's closer to 18 now.
It's closer to 18.
Who's counting?
3 million of them sold.
That's not counting the ones my mother bought.
Raymond's first book, Magician, was published in 1982, which is...
1-year-old was.
His latest book, Magician's End, came out last year, and I believe Sarah Locks had a conversation with him on that last night. Then next to him we have Mr. Mike Carey, also writing under M.R. Carey. Mike is a British writer whose work spans comics, novels, film strips and TV shows. He started writing for Caliber Comics in the 1990s, and he was offered DC Vertigo's Lucifer, which was henceforth the longest running and most successful Sandman related spin-off to date.
Great stuff.
And it's being optioned.
It's just been picked up by Fox.
Oh, by the way, I say, now that I have an audience, just rather than me telling you in person, Neil's a tough act to follow, and you nailed it.
There we have it. I think we can have a round of applause for that. Now, some of you may also be familiar with the concept of X-Men. Mike has been writing on X-Men for a very, very long time, and it's now X-Men Legacy since 2006, I believe, Mike. And that's quite a popular franchise, I think.
That's wonderful, at least your children.
And then Mike's book of the moment came out earlier this year, written under the pseudonym M.R. Carey, The Girl with All the Gifts, which has been received with great critical acclaim. It's very popular at the moment, and I'm sure lots of you have read it, are busy reading it, and absolutely loved it. Then, next to me over here, we have Mr. Dave de Burgh from Pretoria. Dave is an epic fantasy author. His debut novel, Betrayal's Shadow, was released earlier this year under Fox and Raymond Publishing, and his second one is coming out next year. Dave's also published in a couple of magazines, in some short story anthologies, and he's also published a loose standing novelette, which is the prequel to Betrayal's Shadow. So there we have our panel of authors. My name is Marius Du Plessis, and I'm the publishing director for Fox and Raymond Publishing. Then some thank yous. First of all, thank you audience for coming out in this wonderful Cape Town weather, for attending, and most importantly for supporting genre fiction. Especially in this country, it's a very small portion of the market, and it's people like the people here tonight that keep it going, that enable us to publish authors in the genre and to bring international authors' books here. So thank you very much to all of you.
doesn't work.
In fact, our ambition is over the years to divert and subvert and turn this into a science fiction and fantasy convention.
Yay!
I like it.
Then, so one last thing before we get started. Thank you very much to Leopard's Leap Wines for sponsoring the wine for the entire event. You can see over there.
Pretty good job.
For the Feedback Theatre, of course, for hosting us. And then, I don't know whether they get enough recognition, but Mervyn and Frankie and the Open Book Festival team. Right, so I think we can get started. The topic, if you don't know this, is I'm going to be talking to these lovely authors about why they love their jobs. Now, that is a very difficult question to condense for 3 people into an hour. So what I've done is I've split it up into a couple of themes, as any good writer would do. if you get my meaning. What I found very interesting with this panel is it's a very interesting mix of authors. Firstly, we have Raymond, whose first book, like I mentioned, came out in 1982. Now, a lot has happened in the speculative fiction scene since then. So to get things going, I'd like to ask you, Raymond, in your experience, how has the genre of fantasy evolved and changed from the day you started?
Oh, gee, you got a week? Oh, boy. We should have got these in advance so we can study up. Okay, there are 2 variables, and you know, if you want to make a grid out of, for those of you who are mathematically or statistically inclined, you can do an XY graph. One of which is the business side of things, and the other is the cultural, societal, fanboy, fangirl, you know, kind of way of looking at things. One, it makes a lot more money now in books, comics, film, video games, computer games, and societally, it's gotten so loaded and rich that it's fractured, and we now have subgenres. And okay, when I started writing, nobody had ever thought of sparkling vampires. You know, I'm waiting for the first successful zombie vampire meld. You know, what? You're dry. What? It's okay, things evolve, and we all build upon what came before.